Right, morning, guys. I want to just come and share my thoughts for the weekend quickly, give you guys a heads up and almost like a precursor for what the goal would be going. What the goal going to be for the YouTube as well, and how we're going to go about or am I going to go about my trading? So to take it back weekly. I'm sitting in a situation where I'm still thinking this action zone or the seller zone, I just changed the color of the box, is going to be the area where I want to grab my short, my swing short. Don't think this time we're going to come back in. I don't think this is a shakeout. I think I'm going to trade it as it is. If we lost the trend, people are going to want short there. So I'm going to use that. Now, if you've got a taxing day job, your goal is going to be anytime price moves into this range over here to try and look for a short. So I'd put an alert maybe at 20,413 or your first short buy. Your goal would also be to try and carry the risk all the way up to 21,060, which means if you're going to want to short this from a set it and forget it perspective, there's nothing wrong trading like that. I started trading like that purely because it's all the only time I had. So from that point of view, you want to target that whole zone. But what you would want to do is, if you've got $100 and the goal is to short Bitcoin, short $20 here at the entry. So you've got something in, and calculate so that your $20 takes $3 risk by the time it hits the stop. Right? Then what you want to do is you will open another limit position, maybe somewhere on top of this line over here. So you're sitting at a 20,500. Okay, add another $20. Now you're $40 in. Now you get to be greedy with your other two. Try and get it in at 20,700 and wait for one right at the top of that line there at 20,050, which means that the last entry would almost be your most powerful leverage entry because that's going to be the one that's going to carry the least amount of risk. So this one is not going to be that meaty. So if it goes down, yes, you're not going to get rich with this one. But that one is going to offset everything. It's going to bring your P&L back up probably about 2090. So if you were to get stopped out, you'll be getting stopped out at an average position of about 20, maybe let's say average position about 20,700. Okay, so that would be the way that I would go about it if I'm not in front of the screen consistently. For those that want to trade this a little bit more aggressively, why is it not removing that little last arrow? For those that want to trade this a little bit more aggressively, the buy zone, what I'm looking for is an overlap. So as you can see, because we are ranging, you need to treat it like this. Just check your mics there on the Discord side, guys. Your audio will come through to the video recording. So if we're ranging like this, you can see that pretty much every day we were close to the top and close to the bottom, close to the top, close to the bottom, which made for real shitty time trading if you're trying to swing out of the range. And you can basically bargain for the same frustrations happening over here. So although we are trying to grab this buy zone, if this fails, this overlap fails, we will have an opportunity to go back down to these lower levels. So treat this with that same idea that it might work and it might not work. So you can use that as your, let's say, as your expectation management to understand how crazy this market can probably be still. We can chop like this over the weekend as well. So take note of that. And then that is the reason why the buy zones and these zones are quite wide as well, because as you can see, there's the first support test. So the argument, what I'm trying to do now is there was support, there we wicked right through it again. It's a good chance that within today, we will go and test that level of 19.8 to make sure that it is support before we even start thinking of that. So from a trader point of view, it's not a random block in the middle. The argument is we're going to try and get that support there. Now, take note, guys, it doesn't mean that your stop needs to be at that level there of about 19,800. The stop might need to be a little bit lower, but we'll move into that now as I go into smaller time frames. Okay, so the weekly guys know what to do with this, and now we're going to go into the 12-hour and I'll show you guys here. So in the 12-hour, we've got a little bit more data to work with. So the argument is, where's going to be more money waiting for me? Now, you guys know the 50% FIB tool that I use. It's a nice idea to try and grab a demand zone buy. So if I want to buy here and there's a demand zone buy there, alarm bells should sign off. You basically should say to yourself, whoa, whoa, whoa. If I'm buying anywhere in this zone, I'm not waiting for the short. I want to long to the short. If I'm buying anywhere in this area here, if I put a stop limit here, kind of makes sense that you're setting yourself up for failure because you're short. Normally, wicks that goes into these areas go to at least 50%. It takes everybody out. So buying this buy zone blindly is going to be a problem. You're going to want to have a look and say to yourself, if I'm buying this buy zone, it's going to have to be on a smaller time frame than a 12-hour, unless I'm comfortable carrying risk all the way down here to about 19.5, which would be the idea then. So I'm thinking that it's not going to go in there. That's my goal, but I know that there's going to be additional scenarios that plays out. So that's going to be the idea for the long, if I want a long Bitcoin today. Now, buying at this level means that there's 2% risk. So it's a 2% risk for possible 4% gain. So 1 to 2 setup. It's not a really profitable setup, but you guys can see out of the law of averages what happens with each and every one of these candles, that a move like this is a very safe trade. So if you've got spot money sitting around and you just want to make $100 for today or $200 for today out of a 5,000 or 1 Bitcoin buy, that would almost be your move. Because if you do a 1 Bitcoin buy, by the time you're getting there, you're up $1,000. That's the low end of this. So this trade on the 12-hour, you trade with volume. You won't necessarily trade it with leverage, because the argument for leverage would be that by the time you get here, you're either going to get liquidated. So you won't be able to carry the risk to make this meaningful. You're welcome to go and calculate your own risk management. You know where the risk management channel is. Go and work it out. If you can figure something out, that's it. Or you can wait for the alternative buy, which is still a possibility. That would be at around 19.6. So there's 2 probable scenarios laid out, and both of them is going to move towards the area where I would want to short. We've got the range formed, and then the goal is I want to see price leave, come back, and that will be my cue to hit the short wherever I want to take it. So that's the goal there. So now let's move on to smaller time frames. So we have an idea of the big time frame short on the weekly, which means because you've got less data, you have to be less data dependent. You're going to be incorporating a wider range. You're going to be incorporating less worry, less stress. I want to short from that point to there. I'll have a few orders scattered in there. If it goes above that level, that's it, so be it. Then I know that we are overshooting where I would want to try and short. That's the goal there. But if we go on to the daily, to recap, I'm seeing, well, I want to try and get into a buy to take me to that short. Because if I'm here and I'm hitting in shorts, so the guys with more time, I've got a buy that's carrying in. So even if it fails, what happens? Boom, my buy is still playing out. Okay. Then for the 12-hour, we've got a little bit more aggressive scenarios. We're going to be looking at saying to ourselves, right, I know the range, I know the risk area where everything is going. If I buy here, I'm going to TP there, but I know that there's a secondary buy there. So any buys here, Either it's going to be on 15-minute or 20-minute, needs to be managed with tighter stops, knowing that if the market falls out over the weekend and gets crazy, we can maybe move back into this area for another attempt. The same though, just as a side note, guys, the same though, scenario that I'm saying that I want to see price move into this area and maybe come back into this range for short can also play out here. We can leave this range, stop everybody out, come back in, then create another demand system, something similar to what happened there. Ended up going, leave the range, come back in, and then we create a demand zone for continuation. That can also play out. So just keep that in mind. You need to be flexible in the scenario that we are ranging, and you need to understand that when we get to the bottom of the range, you want to be looking for the longs. When we get to the top of the range, you want to be looking for the shorts. And anywhere in the middle is where you scalp TP. So every time price is here, this is where there's a lot of take profits happening. That's why you get dojis and crazy little wicks in the middle. That's how ranges work. So don't buy here. This is where profit is being taken. So you'll have volatility swings. Wait for it either to be on discount or for either to be on marked up fees. And that's how you go about it. Okay, so now bigger picture, guys. I've done it. I've recapped. Let's dive into the smaller area for the aggressive leverage. So moving into this range here, I'm still going to target this range now. What am I seeing here for the aggressive trade? Now, I'm not too concerned about this now, this buy zone, okay? I'm looking at an aggressive long to get me into my short. I have a bearish engulfing candle over here. I do have a candle that can be labeled as a power candle, which has already had one test at around that level. You know how to work a power candle, guys. If not, go to the education links and go and see. But a power candle, for those that are just maybe need a quick refresher, something very simple. All you do is you put a fib top and you buy, you expect price to bounce around the 50% level. You've already lost it. And that's why I'm thinking, but that's still a power candle. So that can still be. And the one thing about a power candle is, guys, stop always has to be below the candle. Can't have a power candle. Any buys around this area with a stop there, kind of setting yourself up for failure. You're taunting the bull, saying, here's my stop, here's my stop. He's going to run to you. It's just simple as that. So when it's around that area, it shouldn't run to your stop limit. Okay, so that would be the area. So I want to try and trade this a little bit more aggressively. So if I can get smaller entries within this area, that will be the move. Now, what do I do with smaller entries? What I mean, well, I can't really use the 4 hour. I'm then going to use my 15-minute. So the 15-minute, actually, I'm going to use it like this. I'll have my 15-minute, I'll have my RSI. So what am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for a condition that's going to give me a bullish divergence. That's what I'm looking for because I want to try and long. I do have a reason for us the price to go to that range over there. So it's within my buy range. And I do have a pivot sitting right over there. There's a pivot. And I'm hoping on price doing this and the RSI doing that. So fingers crossed, there's still a lot of water that needs to go under the bridge for this to happen. But that's the game plan. The same then when we're into this area here. It's a wide range. So if you want to do a 15-minute short from this area over there, you cannot necessarily carry the risk because it's too wide. I'm going to look at this price, and like I said, I want to see some sort of a lateral trend forming at some stage, whether upper and a lower range, and us losing it, for me to know that the momentum is there. We can use basically this as an example. Lateral range, it does its thing, lose it, I'm in. That's going to be the goal because I know bigger time frame I want to short. So I then know if I grab a short there, where my stop is going to have to be. And if you want to be greedy and you can ladder in on smaller areas, you're welcome to do so. But be careful that we don't overtrade because the market is definitely a hostile place. There's a lot of chop. You see it there. Don't expect when we get there it to be anything other than this, meaning you just buy that exact top and you're good. It doesn't happen. And even that guy thought he was amazing. And it came back twice to take him out or to make him doubt his trade. And then just take note, guys, on the reason why the buy zone or the sell zone is so high is on the back that I'm looking at a power candle on the higher time frame. And that's going to be the ideal zone for power candle overlap. Now, just to show the power candle for you guys, I'm just going to bring up the daily. So we are buying in a daily buy zone. I'm shorting in a daily zone. There's my power candle. I'm looking for 50% overlap. So anything from here to there, I'm going to start hunting for that short. So I know where my expectation is. I know when to start giving up. And I know that I'm trying to trade momentum on the way down. So if I can get that trade, when we're back in this range, I'll even start adding to my short, because then from that point, take profit in the middle range, around 20. And then hopefully we'll leave this range and start going lower. Remember the bigger time frame, the weekly, where we at, the weekly, I'm looking for this buy. So this short is not the one and the only. I'm going to hold the short, but I'm looking for this buy on the weekly. If I can grab this buy for a swing maybe to 28, gave you guys the reasons why I'm thinking 28. That's going to be the area where I would want to try and kill the short, this long, and then from that point onwards, we'll take the market as it goes. Let's not try and look too far ahead. Just as a reminder, this is now obviously off the back from yesterday's lesson. You can see the weekly momentum strong down. You can see the daily momentum strong down. You can see the 12-hour. We are ranging, so expect chop. And if you look at the 4-hour, trend is supposedly now turning to the upside. So what I mean, if we move in here, I don't want to see price stay around this range. Trend is now at the stage saying to us it wants to turn up. So this is supposed to be a shakeout buy. Okay, so don't wait for price. Don't expect price to hang around here and create a lateral range. I want to see something like this, wick in it, and then go for the 4-hour. So for the 15-minute, it might be chopping sideways there for a bit. But on the 4-hour, there's going to be way more. Okay, so there you go, guys. That's the whole update and the game plan for me, at least for the weekend. And I'm going to try and trade this a little bit more aggressively because I want to get in on this move. I want to make that long there, and I want to have a short to cover it. So if I'm wrong, I've got a short running with me. You've got the 15-minute, you've got the chat. If ever there's a question or anything you guys want to do, just pop it in there. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to end the recording here.